6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey, everybody. I'm getting a little feedback, but sorry for the delay. I want to get started with our show. Um, I've got, I've, I've still got the feedback, Dan. I don't know if that's you or if it's on my end. Um, anyway, guys, really appreciate you tuning in. I'm very sorry for the delay because you got an old guy behind the keyboard, so all kinds of things go wrong. Mostly my fault. All right. I'm gonna invite Dan in, and, we'll see if we can get this background set.
Hey, John, how are you?
I'm good, I'm good.
Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, all right. Are you still getting feedback?
Yeah, I think I know what it is. It's on my end this time.
Okay.
And now I'm good.
Okay, very good. Hey, how are you?
I'm doing okay. We had a bit of a delay, but you know what is good about this is, we got good things to talk about today.
Yeah. Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
I uh, uh, I know you didn't get to see the whole match, and that's a story in
Oh, oh,
itself.
oh, no.
And
Au
and
contraire, mon frere.
oh, okay. Well, then you must have been driving down the highway watching it somehow.
No, no, I said to my partner Oz, I said, hey, game kicks off at 7 a.m. our time, the
Yep.
Newcastle match. The preseason match that we were driving to Sacramento to watch doesn't kick off until 2. It takes 3 hours to get there. It's like a math word problem. Just
Yeah.
trying to figure out, if I left this point at this time at this speed, anyway. So I said, if it's okay with you, I would like to watch the first half, and if Newcastle are doing well at halftime, I'm going to stay for the rest of the match, and we'll get on the road as soon as we can afterwards. And he said,
Okay.
sounds good to me. So that's what we did. I watched, and we were up 2-0, and well, yeah. Anyway, so
Hey, by the way, and we're gonna get to that because I want you to tell everybody where you went and what you
sure,
did. And
absolutely.
I need an update too because I talked to you before you left.
Yeah.
So today I really want to cover a few things. One is we're going to go over a review of the match,
Yeah.
and we're waiting on our guest Eddie Lucero from San Diego. When he gets on, we'll get his feelings about the match too.
Sure.
Then we will go over Dan's experience over the weekend because we do more than support Newcastle United, and Dan in particular
Hey, there they are.
supports this team from Monterey Bay, which is where he lives. And I want to hear about that. And I know the people out here want to hear the same thing. You know, MLS and some of the other leagues are really growing in the States. And I think it's due to a lot of excitement as we build up to the World Cup
Yeah.
and all that.
That's right.
And then after that, we'll cover. We hope that Eddie will get on. I know that we can fill the show if he doesn't come on, but it would be a big disappointment if he couldn't come on because what a great guy and what a great Toon Army they have down there.
And he's got a great story as well. So
Oh yeah, he does.
yeah.
So let's start. Well, I'm going to give it to you for a little bit since you saw the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I didn't expect that. But go ahead and tell me what your impressions of our win over Wolves was.
First things first. I hope that the rain is gone by the time we go. That holy moly! When Gordon scored, he was soaked to the bone. But
Yeah.
I thought it was again, getting some of those players back from injury is a big deal. You know, having Isak starting, Joe Willock starting. The two of them when they're on the pitch together is like watching, Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen of
Oh,
old. They know where each other are and how to work together. You
yeah.
add Anthony Gordon into that mix, and all of a sudden you've got a very potential. I mean, a very powerful uh,
Hmm.
attacking potential there. We're obviously missing the steel that is Big Joe Linton
Oh
in.
my gosh. Yeah.
Um, I'm frustrated with Sean Longstaff. Um, I think he's tired. I think his legs are tired. I think he's played
Yeah.
a hell of a lot more minutes than he expected to. I
Yeah.
think, I mean, and he'd hold his hand up and say, look, I never fully expected to start every match of every game, that we've played so far this season, but
Yeah.
out of necessity, he's had to. Um, Bruno was magnificent yesterday.
He
Um,
was, but he's also tiring.
yeah,
You can
yeah,
see it. I did see him, suck it up and just take a push, later in the game. He just said, "Well, I'm not coming off," and he just kept on pressing ahead. But
and
I see him tired too
and
sometimes.
and arguably he's playing better now with under the threat of getting a yellow card that will see him banned for 2 matches than he has in a while. And I
He is
think
focused.
he's not talking back to referees. He's not making foolish challenges.
Yeah, yeah,
He's getting on with the work of winning matches,
yeah.
and sadly, it hasn't always worked out, but yesterday it worked with aplomb. It was fun to watch yesterday. I think we were all disappointed when Trippier had to come off with through injury,
Oh yeah,
but
yeah.
then we got to see Tino Livramento on his natural right side playing the way that he knows he can,
Right.
and ultimately we benefited from it because he scored his first goal for Newcastle.
Yeah. And somebody said that was the 20th person on the team who scored a goal this year.
And
20th different.
yeah,
That's amazing. That's amazing.
well,
Uh,
yeah. If you look at other teams, you're going to see, 4, 5, 6 players at the most who have scored. Right?
mm,
We've 20 different players from our team have scored,
yeah,
and that's nothing to sneeze at. I thought Murphy was great until he got tired as well.
yeah.
Um, Almiron, I love Miggy. I really love Miggy. But at the same time, you can tell that he has also played more matches than I think he was expecting to this season. Knowing if we had the ability to rotate the roster for each game going into each competition, was he expecting to start every match in the FA Cup run? Was he expecting to play every match in the Carabao Cup run? And was he expecting to
Mhm.
play every match? And yeah, you see where I'm going with this. I mean,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
all these guys are bought into the club team mentality. They're all, you saw the tifo yesterday in from War Flags. That they're brothers in arms. They're
Yeah,
all
yeah.
100% playing for each other at the same time. They'll hold their hands up and say, "Okay, I've got 30 minutes in me today.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't have 90. I don't have 60. I've got at the most 30." And Murphy played well. And I thought that's what we were missing in the last match when we started Almiron instead of Murphy. I was like, I think we need a little bit more energetic capability there, and I thought Murphy did that. So,
Yeah, yeah,
um,
I agree, and it's nice to see Almiron come on and give a boost,
yeah,
later,
yeah.
but, yeah, he's not been himself, the last few games.
And I thought Miley did well when he came on for Willock. I mean,
Yeah, and
he was
Joe needed to come off, that was a good thing,
yeah, yeah, it was time. And I mean, again, he'd hold his hand up and say, "Okay, I was getting tired there after a while."
Yeah, in fact,
Art,
I didn't expect him to start, I really
no,
didn't. I
neither
thought,
did
because he's been injured and we have a habit of, well, bef a few games back, we needed anybody who could walk, get
I.
out there,
Yeah,
and they weren't necessarily recovered from their injury, and we might have another injury on our hands, so I thought maybe he would start on the bench, but
yeah.
Man, he's amazing. I
I was
love
also
watching.
expecting to see Lascelles start instead of Botman, and I
Mm,
was surprised when we saw Botman in the starting lineup.
yeah.
I also didn't think he played poorly. Let's be honest, since he came back from injury, he hasn't been 100% either. And
No.
I think, again, it's back to as soon as we get our best players available, we want to get them out on the pitch because that gives us a boost. Everybody gets behind our guys, and Jamal has not done poorly when he's come on.
No,
So
it's
you know,
been a real credit, for him to just take some time out there and just hold everything down. It's great to see. Uh,
and good to see Elliot Anderson coming back,
yes,
especially after the grueling FA Cup, match against Blackburn. And there's going to be critics that say, we 16th in the championship, we should have put them aside long before we went to extra time, and certainly should not have been in a position where we had to go to penalties. But again, I thought Karius played well in that match, having
yeah,
only played his second match in wait, that was Dubravka. Sorry, got it wrong.
Dubravka,
Apologize.
yeah,
Karius played against Arsenal. I
yeah,
apologize.
yeah, yeah.
I'm getting it all mixed up. Too many
Oh,
teams. Too many teams in my head, John.
well, Blackburn. You get in those tournaments, and you never know who's going to give you a hard time. I mean, I'm sure Man City and Man United didn't expect to be bumped out by Newcastle in the Carabao Cup,
No,
and so
no,
yeah, you just never know.
I'm disappointed that our entire FA Cup run has been away. We haven't had a home match in the
Yeah,
FA Cup run, and now we've got to go. Now we've got to go to the Etihad. It's
yeah,
just,
yeah,
oh
yeah.
God,
Nobody was happy with that.
no.
Uh, so
So,
I
so
had
tell me what you thought of
well,
this last weekend.
I had a couple thoughts. What I saw that was different over the last period of time is there's three guys on this team can deliver the ball up front, and that's Shar and Willock,
Hmm.
and who else was delivering? Gosh, Bruno, of course. Bruno. That one play over the top to Miggy was fantastic. But the touch on those three guys, their passing, they just went right. It was a jailbreak for us.
Yeah,
We were just streaming down the field three different times. Cher, Willock, Bruno. It was great.
yeah.
And there was another time right down the middle, and then we almost had a goal when Dan Byrne cleared it through the middle, and we just missed a header. That would have been another goal.
Oh, he
But
took a shot that went whizzing by the post as well. So
yeah,
I think everybody was up for the match yesterday. I think typical Tyneside springtime weather,
yeah,
and
that was awful.
and they're just going to put it right. And sure enough, that's what they did. And on the Wolves side, let's be honest, was missing some of their teeth. Their two main strikers, their two main attackers were both injured. It wasn't their day.
Yeah, but I felt like I felt like all the people that were at the game because I think there was a little bit of nervous energy. We were excited. Hey, we got a home game. Let's get something rolling.
Right.
And by the way, we did. But I think everybody was a little apprehensive because Wolves just took care of what? Tottenham. They just beat Tottenham,
Mhm.
and they're coming into our place, and we're still not sure where we are right now. Yesterday gave us all a good feeling,
Yep.
and let us have a wonderful Sunday.
Yep. There were some celebratory Sunday roasts today, no doubt
Yeah,
about
yeah,
it. Maybe a little hungover, but
yeah. Hey, I thought there was one thing that really tickled me because you don't see it that often, but uh, Trips goes down with an injury, and we're like, oh man, this is terrible. Another injury. At the same time, everybody's going, but I've always wanted to see Tino in there for more time, right? So he
yep.
gets in there. He streams all the way down the field. He gets tripped up right at the goal line, right there. and his foot kind of drags through the trip and
Yep.
just knocks the ball, and it looked like a 5-year-old kicking it in, because it just rolled and rolled and rolled, and it
Yep.
was like, yes, it's going in, it's going in. It was wonderful.
That was really exciting to watch yesterday. And you're right. I think there was a certain amount of trepidation when you see someone who has been as important to us the last 2.5 seasons as Trippier is.
Yeah,
At the same time, he's taken his lumps. He's
oh
taken
my
his lumps
gosh,
this season. I mean, he's
yeah,
made some mistakes. He's
yeah,
cost us some games. And I think when everybody saw him go down yesterday, there was a mixture of both, oh crap, another injury, and
yeah,
oh, but wait, we get to see Livermento.
yeah.
So I agree. I fully agree. And
The
it's
way I looked at it, Dan, the way I looked at it is, you know, he's been there for all these games. So he's older than most of the guys, right? So this really plays the wear and tear on your system when you're older and you're going every game and you feel like you have to be there as captain.
yeah.
So I give all the credit to the guy. It's just it almost like it was like it's going to happen if we just keep wearing him out, and
Well,
uh,
and he had a serious injury not long after he joined us. I mean, he
yeah,
broke a bone in his foot, and
yeah,
those are hard to come. He's got a couple of screws in there,
yeah,
and in colder weather, as a guy who's broken some bones,
yeah.
in
Oh yeah.
colder weather, that tends to hurt.
Cold rainy day. Oh my gosh.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah.
So no, it was good. Um, I at the same time, I'm sitting there watching the guys who came off the bench. Again, it was great to see Joe Willock out there to start. Didn't expect
Yep.
him to start. Nice to see him come off and see Miley get on. It was nice to see Elliot Anderson come on. Isak is still coming back from injury, but it was nice that he got some significant minutes under his legs as well and scored a goal. Um, I'm still without Callum Wilson, and we talked about this last time, and we've talked about this with Chris Rodriguez over on the American Magpie. Um, uh, when you only have two strikers in the squad and they're both injury prone, it kind of puts a damper on looking towards those next matches, and you're
Yeah.
just sitting there going, oh crap, we got Chelsea next.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're kind of wetting your lips, going, we've got Chelsea next because
Yeah.
they're in 11th. So
Yeah.
and they're not doing well. I mean, Pochettino is facing pressure. I mean, just
Yeah.
it's going to be an interesting game next,
Yeah.
and then we get a break.
Yeah. Well, we've got one now. I mean, it's 8 days until this next match, right?
Yeah,
The Chelsea match. So I mean, that's good because we get into a routine of training and we rest some guys who are hurting. Maybe we get somebody back. I don't know. And yeah, press on. I think if we make them make some mistakes early, I think that's a game we can take too.
well, I
Uh,
think everybody felt good yesterday. We got a win. Middlesbrough and Sunderland lost. Everybody was feeling good yesterday because, once again, top dogs in the region.
yeah.
Um,
And Man United lost today, and that was beautiful.
I've been enjoying. I listen to Grumpy Pundits on Sirius XM radio when I'm driving to work in the morning, and listening to Rodney Marsh and Tommy Smith talk about the goings on of other clubs. Then watching Rebecca Lowe and the two Robbies, or with Tim Howard, and sit and listen to them as well.
Uh-huh.
I'm listening to all the different opinions about managers and whether or not they will be able to see out the season, or whether or not they'll be able to, or whether or not they'll be disposed of at the end of the season. And again, you and I both agree we're firmly we're 100% behind Eddie Howe.
Absolutely.
There is no way in hell that I would join anything having to do with trying to drive him out of the club. Did
Absolutely.
you gave a thumbs up and then you got the thumbs up balloon, or did you have to push a button?
I just saw it appear. Yeah, we're new at this.
Hey, look, you're it. Thank you, StreamYard.
It could be. By the way, shameless plug. The people at through Black and White Eyes have been fantastic about this. They do a great job, and I have it's Les is moderating tonight, and
Hey, Les.
I really appreciate what you guys do. Baz has been fantastic, and he's got a lot of support out there. There's a group of the legends that do a good job supporting us.
Yep.
Big shout out to them.
Indeed.
I'm sorry.
No, no apologies necessary. That was absolutely the right time to do that. There have been thoughts about whether or not Pochettino is going to be able to see out the season. Chelsea has been 4 managers.
It's
possibly
insane.
Their fourth managers since the takeover, since Abramovich, had to sell. And you're just sitting there going, who could they possibly line up? I watched like a 9-year-old on YouTube say they need Jose Mourinho back. I was like,
well,
really?
take him. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, exactly. And the same thing with Ten Hag. You're sitting there going,
yeah.
They're going after Dan Ashworth. They're obviously trying to build something that's going to be successful. They're trying to rebuild everything behind the scenes.
Right.
And they want a product that's on the pitch that's going to match that. And I don't think Ten Hag is producing it.
Well, and there's just so much turmoil over there. I don't know how you fix it, because if you start to fix one part of it, like, okay, we'll bring Dan in, Dan Ashworth, right? You know what it's like. I told people this a long time ago at work. You got this festering pot of stew, and it's ugly and terrible and it stinks. You throw Dan Ashworth in there, it's just going to mix in, and okay, bye-bye, Dan Ashworth.
Dan
It's
Ashworth thinks, yeah.
It's like it's top to bottom, and it starts with, I think, the ownership more than anything.
You think it's the Glazers' fault?
Yeah,
and now Sir Ratcliffe has come in,
right. And he
£1.25 billion to own 25% of the club.
Yeah, and he got a lot of flack for like whining about Newcastle. It's like,
well, and then I've been also reading net spend over the last 2.5 years, over the last 5 transfer windows. Everybody's pointing at the fact that Newcastle spent more money and everything. Well, okay, but look at how many players on our roster right now are still with the club that were with the club when we won the championship to get promoted.
Right.
Go back and look at that. We haven't chop changed. I mean, you look at Sheffield. Nottingham Forest came up, and they literally bought a whole new squad. They bought 13 players.
Yeah, I think they did, and I think Chelsea spent a whole bunch of money to grab them. They just grabbed scads of players to get started.
You mean we have to spend 60 million? Okay, here's 80.
They
were going to make sure that they got every good player under the age of 25, and bring them in the club. And what has it bought them? Nothing.
You throw them in the stew together, and where's the leadership? Who knows their role in that pile of people? Who's fighting with another guy for that role? It's just they're all too young. But when they do have talent, and if they get their act together, it'd be scary. I'm just hoping it's not next week.
Right. I think that's what Rodney Marsh said on the Grumpy Pundit show. He says they're not bad players.
Oh no,
not a good team.
Right.
That's it. And that's rather profound when you think about it. He's just like, here's a bunch of guys who know how to play the game.
Right.
Are they the wrong pieces in the wrong puzzle? Or is it the right puzzle and they just don't have the right guy to put it together?
I don't know. I think they just haven't put it together themselves yet. And you got to get buy-in from everybody at the same time. So it's a tough process. That's the one thing that Eddie did for us, is like from the beginning, start from the ground up and build a team, and utilize what's there and breathe new life into what's there. And it's just been fantastic to watch. Of course, you and I know that we've hit a lot of bumps this year, and we started to doubt a few things, but I never doubted that we should keep our manager.
Correct. And like I said, you look at the roster, you look at who's been here the whole time. The folks like Lascelles and Matt Ritchie and Paul Dummett, the guys who have been here for a long time. Now we've gotten confirmation that this will be Paul Dummett's last year at Newcastle. He's not going to be given a new a new contract. There's people who are thinking that he'll probably end up at Gateshead, because he's a local boy and he doesn't want to go anywhere, and he's not getting any younger. He's 34 years old.
Wow.
Maybe he doesn't have, Premier League football in his future. Maybe, I think we know well enough that he's not going to say, well, I'd have the opportunity to play Premier League football if Newcastle's not going to give me a contract, but Middlesbrough comes up, maybe I could go and play for them, and still stay at home. Heaven forbid I get the opportunity to play for Sunderland, that kind of stuff. Like, I don't see Paul Dummett doing that. I think he'll most likely he'll either retire or he'll go play for a local team close by. Matt Ritchie, Matt Ritchie has shown this season that he can come on and do a job. He's not a starter.
Yeah.
I don't even think he would be a starter in a championship team.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that we all know he's highly thought of within the ground, within the club. I'm hoping that he has the opportunity to maybe take some coaching badges and that kind of stuff, and maybe end up being part of the inner workings of the club.
Right.
Maybe he's a scout. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah. That's been talked about a lot. And that's one good thing is if you can keep guys, give them a different role and they can accept it. And we've all gotten the impression that he can accept it because he's doing that coaching right now with some of the other players. You saw him when Gordon started to have a meltdown as soon as he arrived in Newcastle, and quickly he was coached up about we don't play that way here. Okay.
Yep.
You leave that where you were, because this is a brand new game, and it's been effective, of course. Now Gordon's taken off on his own, but you want guys like that. You want senior guys to coach people up, and older players to realize maybe it's time for me to take another role.
We've got guys who are not afraid to take the players that are having some trouble and put them under their arm and say, okay, let's go over here and have a talk about this for a minute.
Yeah.
Let me tell you how it works around here. I don't think we've seen anybody, punt the kid up the backside or something like that. The only one I've seen that has not benefited from that approach was Fraser. And they sent him down to Southampton, and he's doing gangbusters down there, and he's hoping that he gets to stay.
And I would suggest that the change in style that Eddie brought was tough for St. Maximin, and he never really, they gave him multiple chances, but I think eventually it was like, I think we can let the guy go and get a little money back and maybe improve that position, and it worked.
I just wish we could have gotten more from him, but for him. But I can understand the criticism that when other teams were getting. How much did Liverpool get together? And I'm not picking on anybody watching it. I'm picking out Liverpool in particular. But how many players did they sell to the Saudi league for above and beyond what they were worth?
Oh yeah.
And everybody was saying, okay, but these four teams that are owned by the same ownership group that owns Newcastle, they're going to hyperinflate their players' worth so that they can make more money, that kind of thing. We did everything, I believe, above board.
We did, and I think maybe we could have gotten more, but we were afraid of that perception.
Exactly. Yep.
I really do.
I think at the time that we sold St. Maximin, was he worth 25 million? I think he was easily worth 40 when you compare him against other players of his of his caliber across the league. And his age, of course, as well. I mean, he's entering his prime, if not in his prime when he left.
Right.
Just sitting there going, 25 just seemed like a steal. And again, I agree. I think we were trying to avoid the perception of taking advantage of the same owners, because they can't. We're the richest club in the world, and if all of a sudden they decided, oh well, he's worth £1 billion, I think everybody would be sneering, going, no, he's not. I think we'd all agree that right. But
Hey, Dan, as I'm 100% Newcastle, right? There's hardly any other team that I'm interested in at all on the planet,
Yep.
including here in the States. I'm just all Newcastle. You've got so much experience and understanding of football all around the world because of your dedication to it over the last 30, 40 years. So when I say I was disappointed that St. Maximum left, it was because he got me through the COVID year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah.
I mean, he was so entertaining, and I loved when he got on a break watching teams just completely get flustered.
Agreed.
So I hated when he was going to go, but Eddie Howe prepared me for it because there was this style he was trying to implement, and St. Maxima would go off with the ball and get attention from 4 opposing players and still not pass it, and then maybe get stripped. So I can see where that would just get old if you're the manager.
Yeah, and he was a luxury player. I mean, I would not compare him to a David Ginola or something like that. But there are some who would say he's the same type of player, a mercurial winger.
Yeah.
The ability to dribble past people, the ability to shoot from anywhere and hit the target, but doesn't track back to help defend. It doesn't. The number of times that we've seen Alan Gordon or Anthony Gordon or Isak in
Hey,
hey, there's
we got,
Noah.
we
That's
got
Noah.
somebody. We got somebody staying up late.
Well,
Good to
Noah.
see you. Good to see you, Noah.
Noah Telford is a local
Your friend.
local lad from here,
Yep.
and also a Wolves fan.
And I'm going to guess he's from Chicago.
He is currently in Chicago attending DePaul University. He is. So
good for you.
Noah? Good to see you.
Good to see you, Noah. Thanks for tuning in. And sorry, it's not late if you're in Chicago. It's late if you're in the UK. And God bless the people who are helping us pull this off.
Well, so I mean, it's knowing that Noah is hanging out there. There's Caitlin and Nick. Hi, Caitlin and Nick.
Oh my gosh, you guys are awesome. You get gold stars and our first trophy. What is our first trophy? This half bottle of Powerade. That's all I can offer from here.
I don't even have that. I have my water bottle.
I'll have to you wipe it off for you if you want some of it. But no, honestly, thank you, Caitlin and Nick. Thank you very much.
Caitlin, Nick, Noah, good to see all of you.
And we hope to see you live when we go there. I mean, we're gonna be traveling soon, so we look forward to that.
Well, knowing that Noah is out there watching, I kind of want to, if we can, I'll let me switch gears and tell you about what I did yesterday.
Yes, we're gonna. Yeah, let's go to that right now. You follow the Monterey Bay Union.
That's correct. Yep.
That's your team.
We're starting our 3rd season in the USL Championship, which is, if you want to look at American soccer the same way that English football is situated. So if Major League Soccer is Premier League, then this would be the equivalent to the championship.
Yep.
Though in the States, there is no promotion and relegation. So we've been in, we're in the USL Championship, and that's where we'll stay. We're not, we have no danger of being relegated, and there's no hope of us being promoted into Major League Soccer. But that said, we're entering our 3rd season.
And first, what is your role there, Dan? What is your role? It's not. It wasn't elected. I think
it's not official.
Right.
I am a season ticket holder, and I will tell you so in our history, we started the first 7 games of our club were on the road because our stadium was still being refurbished. So the first 7 games saw our team on the road, and we could watch them on TV. And that's hard when you're starting a new club from scratch and you're trying to get people interested. You're trying to sell season tickets. You're trying to sell tickets to a game. Well, one, you can't show them the stadium because it's being refurbished. You can't go in there and pick your seat. You're looking at a drawing and trying to guess what your experience is going to be like. You can only watch the team on TV, and it was on ESPN Plus, so you had to pay for it. It was a $5 a month charge in order to watch it. So you can only watch your team, but it's behind a paywall. So you have to, it was starting and of course also starting in 2022. We're just coming out of COVID. Their original intent, they announced that they were coming in 2020, in February of 2020. They were expecting to be starting in 2021. Well, that got pushed back because of the pandemic, and on top of that, the construction on the stadium was also more expensive than they expected it to be. So I mean, there was lots of things. Everything I think that you could possibly throw at a club that was negative was probably thrust upon Monterey Bay FC when they were starting.
So you didn't. So you don't necessarily have TV coverage, and the team is away for 7 or 8 matches.
Yep.
And so it's just this figment of everyone's imagination that they really have a local team.
About players, it's hard to get excited about players because you can't see them week in, week out. You can't go and watch them train. Well, if you compared that to Newcastle now, the Newcastle of old, 30, 20, 25 years ago, you could go out to Chesterley Street and stand out on the cricket ground and watch them. Now they're at Little Benton and it's all behind closed doors, and all you can do is sit there and watch. Caitlin will take the Powerade.
I owe you a Powerade. I'll make sure it's a full bottle.
There you go. So anyway, it was just, some of the guys had been playing in that league, in that division for a while, and you were familiar with them. I think the biggest thing that was driving the club forward at the time was our first official signing was from Santa Cruz. He was a local boy, went to the college here in Monterey Bay, and we were getting him from Hartford Athletic, which is a club in the other conference, the Eastern Conference. So we had a local boy, and then we signed Adrian Rebelliar, who's from Watsonville, which is only a 15-minute drive up the road as well. So we got excited because we had local boys that were coming. Anyway, and then I think the thing that was driving the most excitement about the whole thing was the coach and the head coach and sporting director and the assistant coach were both well-known guys to the area. Frank Yallop is our sporting director and head coach, and our assistant coach is Ramiro Corrales. Both of them who are successful. We're talking Coach of the Year honors for San Jose Earthquakes, which is the Major League Soccer team.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, 20 years ago. But and Ramiro just retired, I want to say in 2013. So I mean, 10 years ago. So I mean, guys who have great pedigrees, but we haven't seen them play in a long time, and they've been involved in different clubs around different leagues and that kind of thing. But it was exciting because we had guys that we knew as the season went on that first day.
Well, that's part of your role, but I see you as like the biggest promoter of football in that part of California, and of course the #1 fan of Monterey Bay Union.
Again, I go back to that home game, our home opener, where with the stadium, they'd just finished putting the seats in the night before. That's how down the wire it was.
Wow.
But we were all excited to be there. There was 4,500. It's a 6,000 seat stadium.
That's good.
But we had 4,000, 4,500 people there. But I will tell you that those first 45 minutes, that first half, was the quietest game of football I've ever been to.
Oh,
I mean, we're talking polite. We saw good plays,
right.
Everybody would applaud and everything, but there was no atmosphere. There was no, certainly not everything that we've come to love and know and love at Newcastle. We had no songs, we had no chants, we had nothing. So when the second half started, I just stood up in my seats, and which right under the press box, I just stood up and yelled, "MB, Monterey Bay, MB." And then people just kind of turned around and looked at me, and I said, "No, answer back FC. Let's do a call and response thing right here
There you go.
in our section." And we did it. and we did that for the rest of the game. I mean, it wasn't frequent. It was, the first time was right after kickoff. The next time was 10 minutes later or something like that. But it got people, all of a sudden it was like, oh, we can do this. We
Yeah.
work that. And then the next people in the next section were joining us. It was just kind of fun. So then the next game, I came and I put a scarf around my neck, and I wore a flag as a cape, and I went section to section, and I got people to join in. The
There
third
you
game,
go.
I brought a drum a la Crazy George Henderson.
Yeah. Yeah.
In order to try and get some call and response things. I think the fourth game is when I went across the field and got the other side of the stadium to answer. So I would get our whole side to do one thing, and then I'd go over to the other side and get them to respond. And that's kind of been my thing.
Yeah.
Then later in the season, I started wearing silly hats. I would wear ball caps and that kind of thing, but then I started wearing silly hats, and there are a lot of people in the community who know me. I was the head coach of our local youth soccer association here in town. So a lot of people knew me as Coach Dan a decade ago. So all of a sudden, these kids that I was coaching when they were 8, 9, 10-year old, now they're in high school or graduated from high school and in college or whatnot. And now they're bringing their little brothers and sisters and stuff. And they're saying, well, this guy coached me how to play soccer and that kind of stuff. So I just, people got to know me
Right.
as the rah-rah guy. That was it, and I became, they said, what's your name? My wife, my smart marketing wife says, my badass says, oh, he's the super fan, Dan the
Yep.
super fan. Well, Dan the super fan became super fan Dan, and
Yeah.
it just kind of grew from there. And um I'm the most visible fan. I think I'm the one that everybody can see because I'm constantly running around. Noah,
Well, it's hard to avoid you when you paint your beard different colors, or
well,
you wear a kilt made of scarves.
that's what I do. Yep.
I've seen the pictures. I've seen the picture. We got to get those pictures on here too.
Yeah, we gotta
But
figure out how to do that.
so
Um,
it's all about supporting football,
yeah,
wherever you can. And Dan's been doing it forever.
and building a community, John. I mean,
Yeah.
it's when you've got we're light years away from a Newcastle, and that's what we're all about, obviously. But I mean, at
Yeah.
the same time, we're a one club town. There are no other clubs around us. We are incredibly fortunate to have a team here on a peninsula that's, total population is 300K, and that's made up of like 11 cities.
Yeah.
We're not a big peninsula. Everybody knows where Monterey is only because of Pebble Beach. Everybody knows golf, you
Right.
know. Um, so I just want to build it. I mean, this has been a soccer hotbed for a long, long time. We've
Yeah.
had lots of players that have come out of this region who have gone to go on and play for other teams elsewhere, but we've never had it here. This has been really exciting. This year we signed. Last year we had a reserve team, a pre-professional team, enter in USL 2, which is 2 divisions down. Not professional players, but they got to compete in that. Our first year, we we uh we won the conference. We out of 8 teams, we were number one. This year, we signed one of those players to a professional contract, Pierce
Mm.
Galloway, who grew up in Carmel,
Wow.
who's good friends with other kids that we used to babysit, my wife and I, a long time ago before we had kids. Um, you know, he's now a professional player for Monterey Bay. And I just want people in the community to be as excited about it as we are. You know,
Yeah.
that we are so fortunate. We're competing against teams from much larger cities, Detroit, um, Miami, um, Washington D.C. There's a team in Loudon, Virginia.
Yeah. I know. I used
Teams
to live right there.
right, FC Tulsa, which is just down the road from you.
Yep.
Um, we had teams in San Diego, but I mean, we have a team. Our closest rival to us is in Oakland. But yesterday, my buddy Oz and I, who are on Instagram on Tuesday nights, we do a thing we call the drop in, and we talk about Monterey Bay. He and I went to our last preseason game of the season, and the beard color is a staple of Garden Alley. Thanks, Noah. We went to the last preseason game in Sacramento, so we drove 3 hours to Sacramento, watched the game, and came back.
So how was the weather?
It was cold. We were hoping to keep off the rain, and we got a little bit of rain in the second half. It didn't stick around.
Yeah.
Nothing like we saw in Newcastle yesterday. But windy, just windier than windy. And it was a good game. We lost 2-1. It was the only preseason game out of 7 that we lost. We've tied 2, we've won 4. So it was the only loss of the preseason. Season starts.
How was the pitch? Was it playable? I mean, did they get a lot of rain before you got there?
Yeah, lots of rain before we got there. It didn't look bad.
Okay.
I would like to think that I would like to say that their pitch, there wasn't any water logging. There wasn't standing water or anything like that. It seemed wet. It's the same when he's in Newcastle. No.
Yeah, that's probably.
Noah has seen those pictures as well.
The black and white beard.
Black and white beard. Yep.
Yep.
And that was another thing. A friend of ours from my college days, who lives in Newcastle. She said, we've seen the pictures of you in Monterey. Why don't you do black and white stripes? And Tara and I both looked at each other. Was like, I could.
Yeah.
You know where to get the aerosol spray, and we went to. Shoot, I can't remember the drugstore chain, but we went there, and sure enough, they had black, and I did it, and showed up to the Leicester City match, and there were people who had never seen that before.
Yeah.
There were others on social media who
I think
were
you got
absolutely behind it, and then there were some who were critical of it. So
yeah, I think you got on Sky Sports for that.
I did. Yep. Keith Downey tracked me down and said, I got to have you on. And then there was a Leicester City fan who had sprayed his head blue, and it was just, again, we love our clubs. That's it. And we want other people to understand how important those clubs are to us. That's it.
Absolutely.
I'm not looking for fame or fortune or anything like that. It's just showing the community this is what we can do to get behind our guys. And our guys, the guys in Monterey, I know all of them. I run into them at Target. I run into them at the grocery store. I run into them in our favorite fast food chains, that kind of stuff. Yeah. They're all terrific guys. They're all, even the oldest guy is, 36.
Just young men. Hey, I got to take a time out here. We've got to give a plug to our favorite T-shirt, folks. Dire Crow Shop. They are a sponsor of Through Black and White Eyes, and we support them absolutely. I have some T-shirts. Dan has some T-shirts. They do a great job, and they follow Newcastle. They're a family, Joseph Spinney and his family out of Charlotte, North Carolina. Little family business. You guys support them. We love them.
I got to talk to Joseph and talk about, doing the Newcastle Brown Ale logo like they've got for the Grateful Dead. We've got to do a couple other big shows. I mean, there's Sam Fender or, Freddie Mercury and Queen or Bruce Springsteen has played St. James's Park. We got to do a couple more editions of that.
Yeah. I
would love to wear that T-shirt. I'm afraid to say it, but I'm not a big Grateful Dead fan. So.
We almost look the profile there, Dan. You could pull it off.
I just need to, lose a finger, on my picking hand. So like Jerry Garcia, I think it was this one. I think he's missing the ring.
Yeah.
So go back and look. It's obvious as soon as you look at his picking hand.
So we talked a lot about at the beginning about Newcastle and that fantastic victory. I think we got a good sketch from Dan about his local team, and we're going to do that. When we do these podcasts, we're going to have people on. We want to hear their story, and Dan certainly has an interesting story. I myself have not supported that much of soccer in the U.S., but my good friend Dr. Sondhaus in Indianapolis grew up in St. Louis, and last year, he knew my passion for Newcastle. He says, "Well, John, we got to get up to St. Louis, and maybe we can meet in the middle." And because he was excited about this is the first year their team in MLS,
Yep.
and they have tremendous support there, and so anytime I can go see my friend, I do. All right, so I went and I got the scarf. They
St.
had
Louis
really
FC.
good pro shop and fantastic atmosphere and support. It was only their second home game
Yep.
of the year, and it was a complete sellout. And I had to spend a lot of money for tickets, but we got in, and it was. Oh, I can't do the math for you folks in the UK, but it was 30 degrees with a wind chill of 17 degrees. And I said, our hotel's real close to the pitch. We can do anything for 2 hours. So let's put on all these clothes and go. And we didn't sit down the whole time. It's like we got to stay. But it was a fantastic game, and they
Really
won.
well last season.
I'm sorry?
I said it was their first season in Major League Soccer, and they did really well.
Oh, they did fantastic. Made the playoffs.
Yep.
But yeah, I saw their second home game, and it was a win, and it was fantastic.
So now I have to ask. So Dr. Sondhaus is in Indianapolis.
Yes, he is.
So then now I need to know whether or not he's ever been to an Indy 11 game.
I don't know. I'll have to ask him that. He and I are baseball fanatics from way back.
Got it.
We started going to see baseball games in all the, major league stadiums. And I've been to 42 parks as of last year because when we were in Philadelphia, I stayed around for an extra day. And that's why I was late getting to Atlanta for the summer series.
Yeah.
I stayed an extra day to watch my Orioles go up there. And it was, what do you know? When I lived in Philadelphia, it was Veterans Stadium.
Yeah.
And now they have a brand new baseball stadium. So I got to see that.
Awesome.
So I've been to 42. He's been to a whole bunch too. We try to do it once a year, once every couple of years, whenever we can get together. But I don't know. I'll have to ask him about the local team.
I'm traveling this coming weekend. I'm going to Kansas City or nearby. I'm going to Lawrence, Kansas. Rock Chalk Jayhawk for
right.
all of our college folks. I'm going to Lawrence, Kansas for my uncle's 80th birthday, and my cousin and I, his eldest son Brandon and I had a pact a while back where we would each year one of us would travel when Sporting Kansas City and the San Jose Earthquakes played each other.
Oh, good.
So I would go to Kansas City if my team was there, and then the next year he would come out. It's never benefited me in the San Jose Earthquakes. It's the Sporting Kansas City has always done well, and then the pandemic. So we've kind of fallen out of that habit. But I'm looking forward to going and seeing them next weekend. And Brandon just said it's too bad that it's not 1 week later because San Jose Earthquakes are playing Sporting Kansas City that weekend. And I said it wouldn't have mattered anyway. One, it's my 22nd wedding anniversary,
and
it's the home opener for Monterey Bay Football Club. So I
16th
on the 16th. I couldn't have been in Kansas City to begin with. So
right. Well, maybe he can get out to Monterey Bay sometime. But anyway.
And I think they want to. He and his wife have two boys, and one of them is in college in North Dakota, and the other one is in the Army. The younger one joined the Army. He's been in the Army now for a year, and we couldn't be more proud of both of them. So that's good stuff.
So yeah, we're going to talk MLS. We'll talk some of the other sports, soccer leagues here. Footy, sorry guys, footy. But I apologize. We waited as long as we could to get Eddie in, but it looks like his team. He said that they may go to overtime and then a shootout. He says, I don't even know if I'll make it. We'll see. But he's welcome here anytime, and any of those San Diego Mags are welcome with us anytime. We know them and You know them really well after travel.
Yep. Yep.
So,
Lots of with those two guys in the car. So yep.
yeah. So just getting back to Newcastle,
Yeah.
we got a string of games coming up here. Let's see if I can pull it up real quick.
If you figure this part out, it's going to be great.
I'm sorry.
I said, if you pull this up, this is going to be great. We're learning. This is we are not veteran podcasters. This is all new to us.
It shows.
We've been on shows, but we've always been guests. We've never hosted our own. So this is good stuff.
Yeah, let's see. I'll just go to this. Can you see the schedule?
No.
No. Okay, that's
sounds like a Lionel Richie song. Say you, say me. Sorry.
No. Okay. Well, I tried, but that's not going to work.
It's all right. It's all right.
Okay.
We're getting better. Less our moderator.
I tried to share, but I've got so many tabs open that it's going to be tough to pick one out. And I tried two of them and it didn't work. Anyway,
don't worry.
Chelsea
next in the Premier League. We know that. But
yeah,
is it Sunday?
We've got Monday game with Chelsea.
There you go. Okay. Yep. Yeah, you said 8 days. I'm sorry. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's I think an 8 p.m. start for us. So that's what, 6 p.m. for you?
Oh.
No, it's 8 p.m. there. So
it would be
2 o'clock here.
It would be 2 o'clock your time. It'd be noon my time.
Noon your time, yeah. I like those kind of games when we play at night. I know it really burdens people that are traveling, especially during the weekday. I've heard that.
When we're there, the West Ham match is at what, 1:30 local time?
Yeah, that's kind of odd too. No, it's 12:30, I think.
So it's going to be on at 4:30 in the morning on the West Coast out here. So
yeah.
But when Eddie and our friends Rich and Shade and the other guys that are all there in San Diego, when they look for us at 4:30 in the morning, we'll just have to make sure that Keith Downey sees us and gets us on TV, so we can wave at them.
We'll try and say hello. Yeah.
Exactly.
The next match is Everton.
Yep.
After that, when we're there,
yep.
And that one is in the evening.
Yeah.
Evening kick. So they can watch that one.
But they moved it back a day. So instead of being on the 3rd, it's on the 2nd.
Yeah.
So we get an extra day in the city. So.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. We'll find enough to do there. I know we will. We always do. And
yes.
I'm glad that your wife Tara is going too.
We're looking forward to it.
So looking ahead to those two games, what do you think, Dan? What do you think we're going to do?
Is David Moyes going to be at West Ham by the time we show up? I don't think Sean Dyche is going anywhere in Everton. I think he's going to do, and their point deduction was unfortunate. Then they got the point deduction reduced, so now they jumped up the league a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm not as worried about Everton going down anymore as I was. And I've also got a really good friend who Everton's his team. Got a couple of friends whose Everton's is their team. So I've never been rooting for them to go down. So
I was a couple years ago, because they had this guy named Gordon who really just threw a fit all the time, and then he was only superseded by what's his name that went to Tottenham.
Richarlison.
Yeah, Richarlison. Both of those two guys, they just seem like they whined a lot, and but boy, Gordon has really turned it around, and he's very focused, and so I don't have that. And they were penalized by, the FFP. Everton was, and but I have always liked Sean Dyche, and so I don't want them to go down either.
I don't like listening to him talk.
I just thought he was. I just like his style, and so I hope they do well, but not when we're playing them.
Right.
And
any day but then a day that they face Newcastle. And I think Anthony Gordon, I think it's fair to say now that Anthony Gordon probably fits into the I would hate to play against him, but goodness gracious, are we happy that he's on our team?
Oh yeah, there's no doubt. And
There are lots of those kinds of players out there where you absolutely cannot stand them when you have to face them because
right, right.
they're ornery or whinging or whatever. They're not the players you want to play, but then when they're on your team, feel
Yeah,
free to do that all you like. We're behind you 100%. So
he's our guy.
exactly.
Well,
So
we speaking of those two games, we got West Ham, and we're still kind of focused on Everton, which is the second game. But let's stay there. We owe Everton.
yeah,
We owe them big time because they beat us.
yep,
They made us look bad,
yep.
and then they had fun with it.
Well, I think that was there's a certain amount of comeuppance there, though. We made them look foolish last season. I mean, but
Yeah.
can we talk about the Isak assist that wasn't an assist because it went off of Tarkovsky's elbow? But Isak, I think, dribbled through 9 guys before he was able to lift that ball over the across the 6-yard box, and Jacob Murphy happened to put it in. But
Yeah.
I mean, everybody was in awe of that goal. I think
It was
in that stadium, and I think even the Everton fans will be like, "Oh man."
Yeah. I think the Premier League looks at that guy and says, "Oh my gosh, this guy's going to be tough to handle." And I also think just like when St. Maximin used to have the ball at certain times, it was like, "Whoa, look at this guy go! Just look at him." And the difference is, Isak gets up there; he's a sniper.
Yeah.
If he gets close, it's going in.
Yep.
But that was a wonderful delivery into the middle, and then Murphy goes, "Oh look, I think I'll kick it in."
Yep.
Yeah.
It fell to my foot like that. And
We
then he
owe
went and
them.
celebrated and was pointing at Isak, going, "This is the guy that you should be cheering for."
Yeah.
So,
We owe them though. I mean, I didn't like that.
you come to our neck of the woods. We want you're in for a hiding. That's what we want.
And
I have a history with Everton at St. James's Park. That was our honeymoon game, and
oh, okay.
we left 6-2 victors. We went behind 2-0, and then we scored 6 unanswered goals. So yeah, I feel good about having Everton at St. James's because we have a good history of that.
So we're quickly ending our time here, and so let's and again, a big thank you to anybody in the UK that hung with us because it's very early there.
It is.
But
on a Monday morning on top of that.
yeah. So Dan, give me your thoughts on what's your prediction for West Ham, the West Ham match, or excuse me, the Chelsea match, because that's the next one that's coming up.
Seeing as we played them in out of the Carabao Cup playing them, right? Isn't that right?
Yeah, we got knocked out of Carabao Cup by them.
But by them, yeah. I don't know. They can't seem to put a run together, and that bodes well for us. I would like to say, Cole Palmer is the one I think everybody is talking about, and that's the one we have to be careful of. I would like to say we've got them 2-1.
Very good.
I'll say 2-1.
Yeah, that's funny you say that because that was what I was going to predict, 2-1. But I think we get them. Even though that's an away match, I think they have more going on at their club right now than we do. We're starting to recover. We're starting to come back a little bit. And I still think they get too many questions and too much scrutiny being there in London.
Yep.
So I'm going to go 2-1 also. The next match is Crystal Palace, which has been postponed. So the next match is West Ham, which we will be at.
Yep.
What do you think for that one?
I think we can take them. I think we beat them 2-0 earlier in the season. Yeah, at London Stadium. I think we can better that. I think we can go 3-0.
3-0. Okay.
That's what I'm hoping for. We're going to be there. So
I know. I would still. I'm going to stick with 2-1 for this one too.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, you raise a good question. It's like we could have some breakout games where we score a lot more than 2 goals.
Yep.
But I'll stick with 2-1 for both of these matches. And then the final one I want to ask you about is the Everton match, which we will also be at. That's April 2nd.
I think we're gonna go. I'll go 3-1 there.
Yeah,
I think we'll win 3-1.
I'm going to root for
Sorry,
3.
Martin.
I'm going to root for 3-0.
Okay.
And by the way, we may have Nick Pope back
Could be.
sometime later this month. So, of course, whenever somebody comes back, you need to give them a couple games to shake off the cobwebs. But
Yep.
hopefully, I'm hoping we get all 3 of these.
I'm excited to see the possibility of an Elliot Anderson start. I'm there's a guy who did so well during the summer series when we saw him. And we were so looking forward to his breakout season for us.
Yeah.
And he had this back problem that he's been fighting for so long. And again, the last time we saw Joe Willock play before this most recent comeback over the last 2 games, last time we saw him play was when we were together on Tyneside and watched him walk off. He went off injured against Brighton.
Yeah, that was terrible.
When you consider that's almost a year.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to see Joe Willock. Joe Willock came back and then went off with another injury. I'm trying to remember.
Yeah.
They all run together.
So we covered those 3 matches. We skipped over one, which is the cup match, and we may cover that at our next on our next show. So anyway,
that's not a game I'm looking forward to be honest.
No, Man City. We'll talk about that some other time, but I want to thank everybody for helping support us. You got an old man here who's trying to pull it together, and he's taking his time and showing his age. But anyway,
brother.
Thank you very much. Say goodbye, Dan.
Bye, guys. Thanks.
All right. Say goodbye.